What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best music podcast, talking about everything brutal, new death, hard, slam, grind, thrash, core, and metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how goes it?
Great. Loving this fucking 65-degree weather on January.
Hot garbage. Moving along. All right, so what are we doing this week, folks? This week, we're doing another genre deep dive. We just did another one. If you recall, we previously had one where we talked about the current rise of death metal and American death metal in particular. Now we're going to go a little bit more extreme in that regards. We're going to talk about modern deathcore. So we're going to talk about some of the bands, some of the trends and stuff that's jumping off right now. It's kind of loud. Tim and I are fans of some of it, not fans of others. So we're gonna go through some bands, go through some trends, see what we think, talk about some of the historical reference for some of the bands where this sound comes from. So if you're into this, great. Maybe you'll enjoy it. If you're not into this, maybe you'll pick up a band or two that you like listening to. So, Tim, where do we go from here?
Well, let's start out with how deathcore comes about, because if you think about it, I would say around 2003, maybe 4, you start getting that deathcore sound, right?
Let me think here.
Bands like Deadwater Drowning and Rifles at Recess and shit like that.
2001, 2002. Yeah, that's about right.
The Red Chord.
When I think of the start of deathcore, the genesis of deathcore, I think of MySpace and I think of Job for a Cowboy.
Suicide Silence. Yep.
Yes, Suicide Silence. Same. Yeah. They were contemporaries. I think about this was the turn where nu metal was basically done. Metalcore was having its moment. The new wave of American heavy metal was popping up. This is As I Lay Dying, and this is Unearth, and this is Shadows Fall. But then you had this stuff, kind of like the mutant younger brother, which was bubbling below the surface, which had a very rabid following, but it wasn't nearly as mainstream popular. Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is a genre that like comes out and just people don't know what to do with it at first, because they're like, well, it's got the mosh in it, but it's got the blast beat. So like, what are we doing here? Like when Through the Eyes of the Dead comes out, people are fucking floored. They're like, what the fuck is this? Beneath the Massacre comes out and people are floored.
So, would you say Beneath the Massacre is deathcore? That first EP, maybe?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. But I think as they go, it's more just a brutal death metal.
Yes.
But yeah, I think when they first come out, it eclipses that genre where you could call it deathcore, because it had a lot of that syncopated mosh. Because if you think about it, deathcore right now is basically Fear Factory with mosh and blast beats. You know what I mean? It's a lot of syncopated bass part, kick drum, guitar parts. It's a lot of blast beats, and it's the extreme mosh parts. You know what I mean? It's the but I think when it first comes out, it's like I said before, it's just you don't know what to do with it. Like, what's going on? Like when the Red Chord first came out, which I think was probably 4 years after deathcore pretty much starts, like that fused together, that fucking record, dude. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, it I went back and listened to that. I think it was a month or so ago. It's goddamn heavy and it holds up really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like you said, when metalcore started getting poppy, I think is when deathcore hits.
Yes.
Because you had the bands like From a Second Story Window who did like the brutal metalcore, but then they had the singing parts. And you had It Dies Today who had the brutal parts, but they had the singing. And it was, to me, that's the white belt.
I forgot how bad that band was.
Which band?
It Dies Today.
You thought they were bad?
That's the album with the clock on the cover, right? The big
the Caitiff choir.
Yes.
You don't like it?
No, and you know why I'm thinking of it? I was scrolling through Facebook, and I think Josh Truskill has started to get the rights back some of his stuff, so it's starting to show up in places. And he posted something about It Dies Today, or are they playing Furnace Fest?
Yeah.
That's why. And someone posted an old video, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, oh God, this is bad.
Well, it's tight pants, white belt core.
Yeah, the swoop core.
Yeah. But I think a lot of the kids who were in playing metalcore went to that, and because at first deathcore was like that. You had the white belts, you had the shirts that had every inch of it had a color on it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like every single part of your shirt had a color on it, and it was just.
Tim, would you consider like early Animosity deathcore, As Blood Runs Black, some of that stuff?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I think all that stuff is where deathcore starts.
Okay.
You know, like I said, Deadwater Drowning, the Red Chord, all that shit. Yeah, I mean, I think deathcore has progressed into what it is now with Lorna Shore and stuff, where it's just, it's very thematic. Is that the word?
Yeah.
It's very thematic. It's very, it's very based on like that ambient sound in the background and stuff. What's that called? What do we call that these days?
The
symphonic
ambiance.
parts
and
which I think it's grown to that. But when you first started, like a lot of the OG bands like Chelsea Grin and stuff like that, like you get, a lot of people back then were always like, oh, these dudes play hardcore that just they can't really blast beat, but they do it on the record. Like, actually, no, they could blast beat really good, actually. I don't know how much of it was a studio trick, because you can't really trick a blast beat. It's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, well,
you can, you can program
live. It just sounds totally different. And I do think, Tim, there is a very, us music nerds love to force things into genres, the over-genrefication of what we listen to. There's a very fine line between deathcore and what we would consider technical death metal.
Yeah,
Once you start playing with chops and you introduce, for lack of a better term, a little bit of guitar wankery, then you go into the technical death metal. So you have a band like, I would argue that maybe a band like the Faceless started as more of a deathcore band. Now they're more technical death metal.
No, you nailed that. Yeah.
Even no, I was thinking, where do I put Beneath the Massacre? No, that's a brutal death metal band. Like, man, we should deep dive in that. Yeah, that EP is Jesus. And
Job for a Cowboy.
Yeah, Mechanics of Dysfunction. Oh man, what an album.
Yeah, like Job for a Cowboy. Like they come out, that's a straight deathcore band.
Yes.
They go into the more, death metal chops, and they have the fretboard gymnastics going on. So like a lot of the deathcore that came out starts with the mosh, and then they keep the mosh, but they go more into the technical side. So that's what you're seeing more these days. And it's being classified that.
Let me ask you, Tim, is having the mosh part, is that the primary qualifier that separates deathcore from technical death metal?
Yeah, absolutely. But you have bands like Dying Fetus that do that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Fetus is a death metal band to me, but they have parts that are like out of this world heavy.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, because like even the new song like has them parts. Like even Cattle the Cap does it. They have them parts that are just straight up open E fucking mosh parts.
Yep.
But they don't do it in a way where it's just, oh, there's another mosh part. They do it in a way where it's like, wow, dude, that's fucking good.
Yeah, they're tastefully inserted to make the most.
Yeah. So we'll get more into the OG shit because I want to do it at the end, but I wrote down 20 bands that are modern deathcore, in my opinion, right now.
Okay.
So let's start with the biggest act right now. That's Lorna Shore. I mean, come on, dude. These dudes sold out the entire fucking tour.
They sold out an entire U.S. tour. Yeah.
Are they Jersey?
Yeah, Jersey. Yeah.
I
mean, you just saw the video. They just did that Christmas show with Sentinels, and I think I want to say it was like Within the Ruins or something, and Signs of the Swarm was there, and it was huge. It was sold out. It was huge. So when I try to have a conversation with somebody, understanding where that came from, I just think they have a unique sound. Will Ramos and his voice has transcended the band because it's almost like a pop culture thing now. And
I mean, when you get a doctor to put a scope down your throat and have him do the growls, and you can see that shit is fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, that is cool shit.
I think they were just in the right place at the right time, at the point where tastes were changing and people were looking for something new, and they just happened to be right there.
Yeah, I think these days a lot of people really enjoy that symphonic sound too, and that they have. Like a lot of people like how it's very just like majestic sounding.
It's like Opeth with blast beats.
Yeah, dude. And I love Opeth. because of that reason, because they're very majestic sounding. They're very like
big. It's big.
Yeah, it's very like it goes like this when you listen to it. I like that kind. And that new Lorna Shore is the same way. Like it's very up and then it's down and then it's rarely up. You know what I mean? Like it's I think that's why a lot of people like that shit. And also, I mean, you got to realize too, like Will coming into the band is like they had that stigma where like the old singer was like a piece of shit. Remember?
I think so. Yeah, he got accused of doing some stuff. Yeah.
And then Will comes in and he's like a powerhouse on the vocals. Like there's nobody can really do what he does. Like that shit is impressive, dude.
Well, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least acknowledge how these deathcore bands seem to hot swap vocalists.
Well, yeah, you could, I mean, and we're going to talk about the Big Six thing. We're going to talk about it at the end, but like that's you get a deathcore boy band and shit. That's
Thank heavens that Franz isn't involved. That was a terrible mark on that whole idea. Terrible,
right? Mark. But back to Lorna Shore, I think they're a very important band right now because I think you're getting, and I'm going to name another band that's very important to deathcore now, and I'll do it in a little bit. But the next three bands are very important to deathcore. The first one being Lorna Shore because they're getting kids of a young age into heavy shit.
Into extreme stuff. Yes, which will never show up on the radio. Yes, agreed.
And we talked about this when we were not recording. We talked about how we kind of believe that Lorna Shore is going to be that band that's in the fucking mainstream this year. Like you're going to see Lorna Shore on like, if there was an MTV still, they would be on there. Which is fucking wild, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of kids from New Jersey. Yeah, that I mean they've toured and they've had some albums and they've had some success, but it just out of fucking nowhere blew the hell up, and God bless them.
Like that's crazy, dude. So number two, who I would say is probably the biggest deathcore band, but they're number two right now, is Suicide Silence. I mean, they come up as the biggest deathcore band. Let's not even lie here. They're the biggest deathcore band ever.
If what's his name doesn't die in that motorcycle accident,
they're the biggest.
They would still be at the top. Yes.
Yeah. I seen Suicide Silence with Machine Head in like 2000. I can't even remember, 2010-ish maybe, with Machine Head, and they blew Machine Head off the stage. Everybody left after they played and Machine Head played. And it was just like, wow, dude, this was at the Troc.
Wow, that's kind of wild.
Like Suicide Silence played, it was bedlam. And then Machine Head goes on and it's just like half the crowd goes out. And I'm like, wow, dude, like you're touring with one of the biggest metal bands ever. And you just got fucking shellacked by them. Like shellacked. Like, and that was when Mitch was alive still. I seen them. That's the crazy part because that shit was crazy. Like everybody looked like him. Everybody had the fucking full sleeves. Everybody had the tight. It was just everybody wanted to be that dude.
There was
to me, they are the biggest deathcore band.
Who got interviewed where he talked about that? It had to be somebody on Doc Coyle's show, one of the agents, who talked about how Mitch Lucker was the perfect frontman in the sense that every girl wanted to fuck him, every guy wanted to be him.
Yes,
and that's what made them like so stand out. Yeah, but he invented that whole sleeve tattoos. I mean, he invented that look, right? Like short sleeves with long tattoos. Like he was the first one to, and it's not that it hadn't been around before in extreme music, but he made it a thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. The new Suicide Silence stuff, it's pretty generic. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not hating on them because you know where they came from and stuff. But I also think that Eddie is not the best fit for them. I'm probably going to get killed for that, but I just don't think he is. But hey, more power to him. All Shall Perish was great. So
I just don't think. I don't think he doesn't he doesn't do for them what the question becomes. Does he take away more than he adds? And sometimes I think he does.
Exactly. But on to number three. I think one of the biggest bands right now is Slaughter to Prevail.
Slaughter to Prevail, not even from the States, right? Or I mean, the Baba Yaga out the video, right? They're attacking bears and shooting RPGs and riding tanks. It's like it's every Russian stereotype amplified to 11, And the music is good though. That's the thing.
I mean, they just toured the US and them shows were fucking selling like crazy. I mean, it's to come out of that and come over here and be that big and just be as big as they are right now. Like, that's crazy to me, because it's like, even with the whole Russian thing going on right now, like, everybody hates it, and I get it. Whatever. We don't have to get into that. I get it. But like, dude, I mean, like the stage antics, and even Adam from Orthodox toured with them. Remember what he said?
Yeah.
The dude went up there and he was just like, "You want me to scream?"
Yes, he doesn't warm up. What did he say? He came out of the bus in a wife beater and a pair of board shorts, and he's like, "Ooh, you want me make vocals?" And then he just starts screaming into the microphone with no warm up. And Adam was like, "What the fuck is this?" And
you're like terrified, yeah.
Yeah, they are hugely successful. And again, to me, they're almost like the the deathcore version of Black Dahlia Murder, where they don't take themselves so seriously. You can tell they're having fun. They love interacting with their fans. Alex Terrible's all over the place. He does funny shit all the time on YouTube where he posts like him covering like Mariah Carey and all sorts of crazy shit. I have nothing but respect for them. That's awesome.
Yeah. That band to me right now, if you're not into deathcore and you're listening to this episode, go listen to Slaughter to Prevail, because a lot of people also say they have the nu metal vibes in there. And I agree, actually. I think they have a lot of nu metal adjacencies to them, if that's even a word. It's a word now.
Yep.
But like, if you want to get into the deathcore genre, you're thinking like, I want to hear some of it, start with them, because they're going to be the band that you're going to be like, oh wow, I see where they come from, because they're young dudes. So
yeah, they're another extreme gateway band like Lorna Shore.
Yeah. Onto gateway bands. Number 4 on my list is Spite.
Yes.
Now, actually, you should probably start with Spite and Slaughter, because them two bands have, I would say Slaughter is more of a deathcore band than Spite, honestly. Because Spite to me is more of just like a moshy Slipknot, honestly. If you think
I was gonna say, if you like Slipknot, you'll like Spite.
Yeah, it's a moshy Slipknot to me. Like when Slipknot was really good, their first 2 records. It's like you listen to that stuff. Like, I remember hearing the new record and I was fucking blown away. Like, yo, this is fucking good, dude. Like, I mean, it almost made my top 10 this year. That's how good I think that is. But like bands like that, because the 6 thing we were talking about, now the dude from Spite takes over. So it's, there you go. So where they're getting their, people are considering them a deathcore band. So there you go. That's all you need to know right there, is the singer takes over Franz's spot, right?
Yeah. And that new album, it just, I think, did it make my top 10? I think it just missed. It was one of my near misses. They put on a great live show. It's a really fun album. And like you said, they're a gateway band. If you like heavy stuff, if you like the heavier Slipknot, if you're a nu metal fan listening to us and you like, I don't know, American Head Charge or some of the heavier stuff that fell off in the later years of nu metal, this is definitely up your alley.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to pause. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Anyway, so Spite, like, I think that's going to be one of them bands that, like, in the next coming years is going to be on like that Lorna Shore level, honestly, because I think
so.
I think the way that they portray the record or the music is, they're kind of hinting towards like, we want to keep it in the thing where like younger kids can get into this and stuff, like, because like you'll see like a tour like Slaughter to Prevail comes around. I don't remember who they brought around, but they're not bringing deathcore with them, and that's a big thing for me. Like, if you're gonna be Spite, you should probably tour with bands that are kind of sound like you but kind of don't. You know what I mean? Like, they brought Boundaries,
right, and
they brought Vatican and stuff. Like, I think that's the perfect way to go, because the kids that are going to go to these Spite shows, like think of this: if you're 16 years old, you're not going to go just for Spite, right? You're going to go for all the bands because you're 16.
Yes.
You want to go out and see that kind of shit. I think that's a smart move by bands like that, because it's like, hey, man, we're going to bring you out and these kids are going to start buying your stuff. Like, so the whole thing goes around. It's kind of thing where Boundaries is huge now, because they toured with so many bands
that are different but the same.
Exactly,
that's the big thing. Yes.
And I think after Corona, I think COVID, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I think that's the big thing right there, is Bring the mixed bag with you because everybody's trying to eat nowadays because you have to eat you have to eat from your music nowadays
Yeah.
because back then you could eat just from touring and
Mm-hmm.
selling merch. Nowadays it's like you need the bigger act, kind of like Hatebreed. If
Yeah.
Hatebreed brings you out, you're pretty much going to be.
Yeah.
You
What
know
do
what I
they
mean?
didn't they just do what Body Snatcher, Dying Wish, Gate Creeper?
Yeah,
Great for all those bands.
that's
Like
what I
that's
mean. So
awesome. Yeah.
it
You
brings
you
all them bands into the mainstream
you need
of
a mixed
younger.
bill. You need to find bands that are younger that you can pop. You also need to find bands that you can take out that maybe get another set of eyes. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
tying back to our last episode, 200 Stab Wounds and Undeath go out, two bands that have a lot of vibe, a lot of hype, and they're moving. And then who do they bring out with them? They bring out Enforced, and they bring out Phobophilic from fucking South Dakota. Like and also I, as a fan, I appreciate, and I they have nothing to do with me. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. And they don't know who the fuck I am. Oh yeah, we made you happy. But I love to see that when bands that are on the way up from that gravity we were just talking about with Scribble and that pull, they bring other bands with them and say, hey, come along for the ride with us. We like you, and maybe you get noticed.
Yeah, and I think that's huge right now, and I think that's what's coming out of COVID is you're going to get the mixed bag shit again. Number 5, we're going to go to the OGs, but I'm putting them on this list because they're still playing music. It's Whitechapel. To me, they are an OG deathcore band.
Yes, it was never my thing.
Yeah, you know what? I was really never my thing until like the last 2 records. The last 2 records to me are really fucking good because they have the deathcore vibe in it, but they have more of the, there's more of like this, the mature sound to it, if you want to say.
Yeah. So there was a band that was contemporaries of them that I never really got into. It was in the same vein. It just wasn't my.
Is it Carnifex?
No, it was, and you know what? It'll come to me. I'm looking now to see who they've toured with.
Who Whitechapel toured with?
Yeah, it wasn't.
While you're looking at that, Whitechapel's the band who has 3 guitar players, so it's super fucking heavy. Like live, they're fucking disgustingly heavy. So I'm actually surprised a band like that hasn't made more bands have 3 guitar players, because you see that trend happen where like, oh, they have 2 singers, maybe we should have 2 singers, or they have 3 guitar players, maybe we should have 3 guitar players, but you don't really see that as much. But I wonder how much of that has to do with, hey, we got a tour, we got to pay 3 guitar players. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, I would think the only bands I've seen with 3 guitar players is A Perfect Murder from Canada.
Yeah.
And the old Acacia Strain had 3 guitars.
Oh yeah, they did have 3 guitars.
Back when they started, 3750 and
was that DL and then
Pig Walk, I think. Not Pig Walk. The Dead Walk was the second album.
Dead Walk, yeah.
Yeah, that was back when they had 3 guitars. Yeah.
Well, you know what? As an OG, we'll talk about them too. But number 6 is Carnifex. I think they're another OG deathcore band that people should check out. They have some really good shit. And to me, like a band like Carnifex is one of them bands that comes out and everyone shit on. And I don't know why, because when you like, I kind of did it first too, but then I actually went and listened to it. And I'm like, yo, this band is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're not bad. They're not bad. I mean, it's not towards the more extreme end of this genre, but they're not a bad listen.
Yeah, they're one of them bands that you can, if you like Spite, if you like bands like that, you can check out Carnifex. Or if you like Suicide Silence, you put on that band because they're in the same wheelhouse to me, to tell you the truth. Like they're a band they probably should have toured with. They probably have. I just don't know, but they're the kind of band that, like, if an all-star deathcore tour happened, it would be all Suicide, Carnifex, shit like that. So
yeah.
All right. So number 7, we're going to go into some more newer stuff, which is Left to Suffer. Not your traditional deathcore, but it's the way the genre's going is Left to Suffer.
Yes, they have a nu metal sound to them. Yeah. There is a djent undertone to a lot of what they do, which is that's a whole different episode of itself. The overlap between deathcore and djent and technical death metal.
That'll be coming up for people.
But they are starting to get a little bit of noise and a little bit of attention. And I think they're another one of those young bands where if they get the right tours and the right exposure and they stay in the eye with releasing songs and EPs and then eventually get fully, I think they probably could get big.
Yeah, I mean that whole 8-string guitar is huge now, and I think that's where the genre's going. So the next three bands I'm going to talk about, I think, is where the genre's going. Like the Left to Suffer, they're blowing up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They're blowing up by the day. I mean, they're the one singer, I think his name is Taylor, maybe.
Taylor, yeah.
He's in the Big Six thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it shows you right there who they picked for the Big Six, because it's, we'll talk about it, but like if you get picked for that, your band is there's probably a reason why.
It's prominent enough that they want you involved. Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, his voice is fucking ridiculous. He can do
Yeah.
them fuck, some of them growls are crazy from that
Yep.
dude.
Yep.
That's a dude we need to talk to. We got to get them on. Number 8 in the same vein is Filth. I know you love that band.
Yeah, I just finally got around and listened to the new EP. Yeah, they're a more aggressive, way more aggressive part of
Yeah.
deathcore, not as whereas we just talked about Left to Suffer has some new metal elements, is a little bit more catchy. They're definitely one of the more aggressive, abrasive sounding bands in this genre.
Yeah, they have like the super low fucking mosh parts where you're just like,
Yes.
it's like you're floating and shit, like, "Durr,"
Yeah. It's like Sun is playing the breakdowns because it's real low and bassy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Suncore. But I think they're another band that if they keep going, they will be in that spot. Like give it like a year or two, you're gonna see a lot of these bands that are just up there. Because Lorna Shore is gonna be that band that is the gateway for all of it, like we said.
Yep, they're pulling eyes and ears. Yep.
Exactly. Number 9, same vein, we got Body Snatcher. I mean,
I think they're gonna get big. I really do. They got an amazing response when they toured with Dying Fetus. Even I told you, I've said it on the show. Me and the old heads in the back of the venue were sitting there giggling like this is fucking insane.
It's stupid heavy.
It is, and they put on a fun live show. They put on a good live show. They're tight live. And like we said, they just went out with Hatebreed, which is a crossing over of Bills. So I think they maybe spend another year touring, come back out with another LP. They have a chance to get big too. Yeah, they bring a lot of fun with it as well.
Definitely. So on to number 10, I want to get into more of the symphonic side. So next we have Shadow of Intent. I remember when this first fully came out, I was fucking blown away.
This is the same drummer from Beneath the Massacre, right? Anthony Barone.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. But it does not surprise me because the drumming is the favorite part of that band for me. It is just technical as hell. It is tight as hell. But that Shadow of Intent record, not the one that they just put out, the one before that, it had Trevor on a track. Track 4 has Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder. And I remember listening to that. It was like right when we started this show, and I was fucking like, yo, man, is this the new thing that's going to happen? Because like the whole scary side of deathcore came into that, where it was like you had the Castlevania parts in there, and it was super fucking blasty. And then all of a sudden, they just go into the mosh, and you're like, holy fuck, dude. Like, what's going on? And that leads me to a band that's number 11, a band that's been around, but the Breathing Process. Like,
yes,
they come out again and just put out a monster fucking record that was probably, one of my favorites last year. What was it called again? Fuck, I forget. But
I can see the cover. I don't remember what it was called though.
But that band, to me, is one of the prominent best deathcore acts right now in the symphonic side.
Yes, there is a symphonic piece to it. By the way, the band I was thinking of that drives me nuts that I was never a fan of, Winds of Plague.
Oh, Winds of Plague, yeah, dude. Yo, fucking standard E deathcore. They played in standard E.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Standard E deathcore.
I gotta go back and give it a listen. Shit. I just remember hearing it and going, nah, not me.
Yeah, standard E. So they just tuned they probably played a Fender Strat and were fucking ripping. That's fucking amazing.
Unreal.
But so Breathing Process, the reason I want to talk about them more is because I think they're one of the best bands doing right now. And it's not just because, we had Jordan on and blah, 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 blah. I like the Breathing Process in fucking 2009 when they put out Odyssey. That band right there is they pull strings on what this sound should be like. They just have that perfect. It's like Cradle of Filth deathcore to me. Like I love Cradle of Filth. I'm not saying they sound like Cradle of Filth because they don't. But if you like Cradle of Filth and you like death metal and you mash them two together, that's the Breathing process for me.
Yep.
Like it's very
I can see that.
Ambient. It's very symphonic. It's very just brutal and like that. It's just it's hard to say because like when you listen to Cradle of Filth, like a lot of people hate that band. But if you take out Danny singing and you add blast beats and you give the singer from Breathing Process that, it's basically the same kind of band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that goes to number 12 with Worm Shepherd. They're the
exact same vein.
Same vein.
I personally I like Worm Shepherd better than a lot of the other symphonic stuff. We've already talked about this. We need to get them on the show. The thing I think that is the biggest plus for Worm Shepherd is they are so young. Like the singer and the bass, the drummer, I don't even think have hit 21 yet. And I mean, the drummer watching him play live was just it was a masterclass. And I think their next album could be really, really huge. I think it's actually recorded and done. I think it could be huge. I really do. Like they might be able to ride the Lorna Shore slipstream at least into the conversation, but then make a left and they can go in a different direction.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the only thing I don't like about the Worm Shepherd record is it's too overproduced. It is very overproduced,
very clean, very crisp, where it needs to be a little bit muddier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love it, but like I get thrown off because it's like, dude, that's too clean. Like it's like it's too on the grid for me.
Yeah, it needs to be a little bit grungier. Yeah.
I get where they're going and I get why they did it. Because, you know, when you hear a band like Lorna Shore, it's like, okay, this is what's popping. We're gonna do that now. So which leads me to number 13, Signs of the Swarm. Same genre.
I think so. One of the things that makes these guys a little bit different for me is, and they've been another band that's been around, had a bunch of albums, had a bunch of vocalist changes. And usually, deathcore is one of the rare genres where you could do hot swapping a vocalist and it doesn't necessarily blow up the band. And yet, I really like this last album. I think they have. And when I think about it, I try to put it into words. I don't know how to actually do it because I can't necessarily put my finger on what I hear that makes them stand out to me in a sea of all these other bands. But for some reason they do. And it's not the drumming but the drumming is great. The guitar is great. The vocals are great. You know, they put in a couple of clean singing parts in the last album that really stood out to me because it was the juxtaposition. It was jarring in a good way. It was like, whoa, okay, we're fucking around like this now. I think that next album for them, again, they'll get sucked into the Lorna Shore back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, and to me, it's hard because like I flirt around with just like music and stuff like at my house. Like I have, you know, studio here. I flirt with shit. I just don't put any music out because I don't think it's good enough. But like I sit here on my little keyboard in front of me and I do all the like in you know, in the back of my music, and I'm like, I see why bands do this because it's so fun to just program that shit in there. Like, but when you can do it right and you can put it out and people like it, like that shit hits because like it's different, man. Like a lot of people are like, they like that hellscape sound. You know what I mean? It's a hellscape. Yes. It's hell coming at you. And people just like dig it. And I think that's why the Lorna Shore is huge too. It's that hellscape sound. And then you have the bands like Breathing Process. Why do I keep saying Process? And you have Worm Shepherd and you have Signs of the Swarm. But then I'll go to number 14, which is Fit for an Autopsy. Like they don't really do the sound we're talking about there, but you can't deny how big of a band they are.
Yes. Yeah.
Like in deathcore right now, they're probably top 5 big bands.
They have gotten, but here's another band that they put in the work. They tour, They tour incessantly. They put out albums. They're out and about and they're getting noticed. Yeah, the last album didn't really resonate for me as much as the one prior. I think the one prior was the one that I really liked.
Yeah.
But they are, Pat from Nothing Left to Mourn, like he's a great guitarist. Will Putney, great guitarist. And Joe, we've talked about Joe's Breath Control. There's that one, what is it, the Rain City sessions that they did, where watching him perform is holy crap.
Yo, that Rain City stuff is some of my favorite shit. The Misery Signal stuff.
Yes, the Misery Signals one is great. Yes.
The Comeback Kid one is great.
Yep.
Yeah, they put out great shit. So my next band on here was End, but I didn't know if we would consider them a deathcore band. They're more of like a, what do you think? I don't know if they're, see, that's why I wanted to say, I put a question mark on this one because it's are they deathcore?
They're adjacent at the minimum, due to Will Putney's involvement. I don't know if I would call them a deathcore band. They're more of like a heavy hardcore, like moshy band, but because Brendan doesn't growl, I guess that would be the big. Here's another delineator. It's the vocals, right? He doesn't do the gutturals. But I think they're adjacent.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I'm like, I wonder if what Jay would think about that. But either way, End is one of them bands that I think if they keep going, they'll be another huge band.
Yes.
It's kind of weird because since what's his name? Since Will's in Fit for an Autopsy, he just doesn't tour and blah blah blah. But if you can be in a band part-time and they be bigger than your main band, that's pretty fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, that is kind of wild. Yeah.
I mean,
but that End album was great. The EP before it was great. The split that they just did with Cult Leader was great. They put together really good songs. If they blow up, it would not. And Brendan has counterparts. If they blow up, it would not surprise anybody.
Yeah, definitely. So the next 5 I have are bands that are pretty much just coming into it. I don't even know if you're going to know some of these. Well, the next one, I don't know if we can consider this deathcore either. Mutilated. How do you say this?
Mutilatred.
Would you consider
metal?
them? Yeah,
no,
that's what I'm saying. More
metal.
death metal. And that's members of Sanguisugabog and stuff. Right?
Yes, I think it's the guitarist for Sanguisugabog plays guitar for them. Yeah.
So they're kind of on the deathcore tip, but kind of not. But I think that bands like this will get lumped into it. That's why I added them onto the list, because I think they'll kind of get lumped.
Yeah.
But if you're into that stuff, like Sanguisugabog and the what's that band called on Century Media?
Body Box or
no, they're on Century Media. Cold, what the fuck are they called?
Frozen Soul.
There you go. They're kind of in that realm, but I think the Mutilatred is more like a deathcore-y sound.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
All right, so number 17. This is probably one of the biggest deathcore bands, but I add them at 17 because they're from Australia. Thy Art Is Murder.
They're actually huge.
Yeah, they're fucking huge, dude. I mean, for being from Australia, they're a huge fucking band. And I think this is a gateway band right here.
Yes, and they're in the same vein as, would they be in the same vein as After the Burial?
Yeah, Fit for an Autopsy, yeah.
I Killed the Prom Queen?
That I would say Fit for an Autopsy is probably, I mean, they did a split with them in Acacia Strain, so.
Okay, well, there you go then. Yep, there you go.
So they're, for overseas, I think they're the biggest deathcore band right now. They're a great fucking band, though. A lot of people shit on them. I fucking love them. They just there's a video of the singer. I forget his name. They're playing in I think it's Download Fest or something. And they start out a song where he's just they're blast beating and the wind blows and his shirt opens and he's going like this. It is fucking amazing. I'll find it for you, dude. It's
send it over. Send it over.
I don't know if it was planned or maybe he has a fan on him, but he starts screaming and his shirt opens up like this. And he's like, that dude, it's fucking amazing.
And he leaned into it. Okay.
And I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Because I just rewound it. Dude, that's amazing. I forget his name. I'm gonna send it to you, and I'm gonna send it to you after this episode. You're gonna see it. All right. So the next 3 are newer bands, and I think they're all unique leader bands. Number 18 is Brand of Sacrifice. So if you like deathcore and you like a little bit of the singing added in, Here you go.
Okay, now I can picture them. Yes, I can hear it. Yep.
They're from Canada, and they're heavy as fuck, but they add in the parts where like there's like in the choruses, there's a little singing parts in there. And they have a little bit of the electronic sound in there. I'm really, really looking forward to their new record. You should get a new one in 23 this year. So I want you to check them out.
Okay.
Number 19, I want you to check out too, which I actually think is Distant.
Yeah, they just put out their newest album. Yeah.
Oh, they put it out already?
Yep, it's out.
Oh,
I'm
shit,
pretty
okay.
sure it's out, I think.
Because on my notes, it says very soon. But
or
more
maybe,
of the
you know what, it
electronic
might
sound.
be. Let me see. If it's not out, it's early this year. Hold on. Newest album, Orphan of Blight was the single.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's not out yet.
I think that might be, honestly, might be in my top 10 this year because the single I heard was incredible. And I think you know what? Now I'm thinking about, you sent me the single, Exo Filth, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fucking great song, dude.
Yeah.
Number 20, I don't really care for this band, but a lot of people do. Rings of Saturn. If you like the fretboard gymnastic parts, there you go.
Yeah, this band lost me when you realized that they recorded it and then they sped it up and then they had to figure out how to play it live.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's this
right,
band, yeah.
That was the big thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have bands like Born of Osiris and shit that are in the same vein.
Oshino, I guess.
Oceano, yeah.
Same vein, yeah.
Yeah, and then, bands we didn't talk about on here, other mentions, you got Enterprise Earth, To the Grave, Shrine of Malice, Impending Doom. So, I mean, all in the same vein. Yeah, but I want to get into, before we go, the OG bands that, pretty much to me started it. So you got, Chelsea Grin. We talked about Whitechapel, but I had them on here.
Yo, did you enjoy that new Chelsea Grin album?
It was a little.
What, did you just put it on the background and one
I
done
did.
Good? Okay.
I did, honestly. It was a background thing for me, and like it was good, but like it was kind of like I heard it before. There
were some tracks that stood out for me. I will say I was really impressed with how good they were live because I'd never seen them before, and they were really good live. They were tight and they sounded good.
Yeah, you know what? I should listen to that again because they're a band that like they were the white belt core band that like I was like, eh. It's a lot of that shit.
And now Tom does with the guy from Spidey does Darko.
Yo, let's talk about Darko real quick.
Yo, that new EP is fucking great,
dude. Yo, man, listen.
But it's almost not fair because you have two guys who are at the top of that genre in the bands that they're currently in. So Tom is Chelsea Grin ex Lorna Shore.
Yeah.
And the other guy is
Spite
X Amur, I think.
Amur, yep.
So they have pedigrees, and it's kind of laughable that they get together and kind of fuck around and put out some of the best music in the genre, but it also shows how good they are.
Dude, so I had a party like December 11th or something in my house. There's like literally like 20 people here. And I just put on Apple Music in the background. I didn't hit a certain band or genre. I just put on metal because 8/10 of the people here are metalheads. Well, metalheads. And I remember like 4 hours into the night, I was outside putting logs on the fire and I came back in and somebody was like, yo, who the fuck is this? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the music. I look at it. It's fucking Darko. I was like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. I was, you know me when I'm drunk, I'm talking about bands and shit.
Yeah.
And they're just looking at me like, how the fuck do you know this shit? Anyway, it was Darko. It was the second track on that new record they put out. And it has the most disgusting breakdown ever.
Is it the we don't know? Yeah.
Yeah, it has like one of the most awfully crazy mosh parts. And everybody at the party was like, dude, write that down for me, please. Like, that's the type of band they are where people that think, like, a lot of my friends think that, like, Slipknot is the heaviest band ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my buddy Ray thinks Slipknot's the greatest, heaviest band ever. But when he heard it, he was like, dude, who is that?
Again,
like, that's when you know you're good.
You can even compare them to almost like End, where you have a bunch of people who are at the top of their current bands get together and do a side thing, and the side thing is just as big.
Yeah, right? That's what I mean, dude. And then when the Darko EP came out, I remember I sent it to you, was because Matt was on there. And I was just like, holy fuck, dude. Like,
yes,
how do you put out a record that good and then come out with an EP that's just as good?
And this is just them fucking around in the studio.
That's what I mean. Like, dude, like that is another world brutal right there.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, we should add that band in because to me, they're kind of a deathcore band, but to me,
No,
they're
absolutely.
just,
They're a deathcore project is what they are, but man, that's fucking, they're on again, like we said, they're on a different plane because they have the chops and pedigree that a lot of bands don't have.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get through this list. 4, we got Job for a Cowboy as an OG man. Everybody knows them. If you're in deathcore, you know that band. Number 5, Knights of the Abyss.
What made them kind of go by the wayside? They went too death metal-y, Tim? When did Job for a Cowboy kind of fall off? Because I know the later catalog, it was more death metal. It wasn't as deathcore.
Yeah.
And I vaguely remember stories of the fans not revolting, but they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't
feeling
really into it. Yeah. Well, they have a new record coming out this year. They just finished with they recorded with Sukoff. You know who Sukoff is?
Yeah,
right?
Jason Sukoff in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, he just did the new record. It's pretty much done. So we're gonna get that this year. Number 5, Knights of the Abyss. Do you know who that is?
I do. That was X Job for a Cowboy, right? That was after the fact.
Yep.
The reason I know about them is shout out to Wax Vessel. He did a repress of that album. Mm-hmm. And every time, I mean, if you're into deathcore, you're into this sort of stuff, and follow Wax Vessel and the stuff that he does, even if you don't buy his vinyl, he has a very distinct sound palette. So whenever he puts out an album, you can basically guess what they sound like. And this is one of the ones he did. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. You nailed it right there. Number 6, Despised Icon. I mean,
oh my God, how do we forget about them? That was when that came out. That was like, yo, this is 2 vocalists. This is fucking heavy.
Yeah, dude, that shit. I think what was that, Century Media?
Yes.
Yeah, them records are disgusting, dude.
I got to see them. Listen to this lineup: Despised Icon, First Blood, Black Dahlia Murder, Exodus, Napalm Death, Hatebreed.
Did you just say Exodus?
Exodus.
What?
With Napalm Death, Hatebreed, the Black Dahlia Murder, Hatebreed headlined, First Blood, and Despised Icon.
Where the hell was this at?
Up in Sayreville.
Oh, wow.
At the Starland.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just, I look back and I'm like, holy fuck, like that is a lineup right there.
That's a crazy. As soon as you said Exodus, I'm like, what?
Yeah, they were kind of the odd man out, but they brought a hell of a show, you know?
Yeah, who is that other Canadian band? Ion Dissonance.
Ion Dissonance, yes. Yes.
Another crazy good band. Were they deathcore though?
I put them more towards the Premonitions of War, Bodies in the Gears of the Apparatus, that more almost Arsonist Gets All the Girls, that more skronky type of metalcore spastic stuff. That's what I put Ion Dissonance in, but no, they were fucking heavy. Harlots, another band from in Cincinnati, I want to say, Ohio. Same vein. Yeah.
All right, number 7, Infinite Annihilator. If you don't know who that is, then
Dickie,
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You ever see that video of him playing the drum playthrough?
No, is it funny?
Dude, and he's just doing the fucking gravity blast out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck?
I'll watch that before I go to bed. Yeah.
I'll send that to you too. It's crazy. Number 8, As Blood Runs Black. That was an OG. That's an OG band. Number 9, The Red Chord. OG as hell. Now here's the question.
Okay.
Is Clients better than Fused Together? Because I get killed for this all the time. They're like, you think Clients is the worst, is the least, or you think Fused Together is the better record? I'm like, yeah, I do.
They're almost two different bands, right? Because when you think about Fused Together and Revolving Doors, it was way more all over the place, Dillinger Escape Planning, more mathcore almost in certain parts. Whereas Clients was more of a straightforward death metal record, deathcore record, where they said flat out, we toured with Bury Your Dead. We wanted to write breakdowns. Like they said, we wanted to write breakdowns. And that album, I mean, what Upper Decker and oh my God, the Black Santa. It's a great album. I actually think Clients is the better record. I do.
Okay. I think maybe for when Fused Together came out, I was kind of like blown away at that time.
But that was like a bomb went off, dude, when that thing came out. They were so different.
Yeah, and it's like everybody hates them now because what's the name's a cop. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here.
Yep. Stop the fucking nonsense. So we're gonna get into some bands you're gonna laugh at. Number 10, Glass Casket. I think they were out of Georgia.
Yes, that was is that what's his name?
Dude
That's not
from
Josh
Between the Buried
Travis.
and Me. No, it's
Yes.
Between the Buried and Me.
Yes, you're right. Okay.
Great fucking band. They were
Yep.
more on the the gymnastic side, if you ask me.
Yes,
But great band. But here you go. You're gonna laugh at this one. Dr. Acula.
Oh God. I can't even take that seriously because of the name. That's like see you next Tuesday. I can't take him seriously because of the name. I wrestled a bear once. You want to talk about an aesthetic, right, Tim? That was the whole. Everybody had Osiris sneakers on. Everybody had diesel jeans on. Everybody had those ginormous, all over print neon fucking t-shirts with logos you could barely understand. That's what I think of when I think of Dr. Acula.
Yeah, you know what I just thought of? We always talk about Jinkos and the crown and stuff, but like, remember Lee Pipes?
Yes.
Why did we never talk about Lee Pipes?
I don't know, because I forgot. I think I had a pair of those.
Yeah, that is hilarious to me that we've never talked about the pipes. Because
that is too funny. But yeah, they were that was a thing, man. That was Lee Jeans doing their version of Jenko. Yes.
We have to get somebody on who made either pipes or UFOs or
I tried to track down the two guys who started Jenko, and it was an uphill battle.
We tried to get a fucking sponsorship from Jenko.
Yeah, we did. Well, we probably shouldn't have done that with like episode 1. We should have waited for like right. Now we reached out. It might be a different conversation because we've got 3 years under our belt. But
yeah, right. I actually think it's 4, but number 12, Born of Osiris. More on the they had more of the electronic sound to them, but they were definitely a huge deathcore band. I think they're still big now. That's a band that people were fucking loved because they had all like that spacey sound and stuff. Like, to me, a lot of their records sounded the same. Like, a lot of their songs actually just sounded exactly the same, but they're an OG band for me. Number 13, Through the Eyes of the Dead. We talked about them.
First EP, or is it the first album?
The EP.
The EP is a fucking monster.
It is.
I'm going to write that down because I got to listen to that tomorrow.
Yeah, listen to that. Number 14, Deadwater Drowning. So probably if you're listening to this, you really probably don't know who that is. Band out of Connecticut, I think. 3 of the members died. But that EP is one of the best EPs ever written in this genre. It does not get better than that stuff.
3 people died? Really?
Yeah, 3 people that band died. Yep. In like 2 years.
Number
15. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I remember the singer actually moved over to sing for Premonitions of War.
Yes.
When the one guy left.
Yes. Which is another great band. We can add these to the OGs because I kind of think they have the deathcore vibe to them as well.
Yo, that album, go listen to that tomorrow. Listen to Left in Kowloon. It is a fucking great album.
It's crazy good. That was Victory, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were when Victory had like them, Bury Your Dead, Martyr AD. It was a weird assortment of bands. But that album is Embrace. Remember Embrace Today? Getting way off topic. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Number 15, Conducting from the Grave. They were one of them bands that came out of fucking nowhere. They were, just that crazy, like, what the hell do you want to call it? I hate to say the fretboard gymnastics thing, but they had a lot of that stuff in there. But then they just had the fucking mosh parts where you're like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? So, like, a lot of that stuff that was based on the secret mosh, I always call it secret mosh because it's like you don't expect it and then it just comes out of nowhere. One of them bands. Number 16, Salt the Wound.
I remember them. Yes. Did they do Aries? That was the album they did, right? I think so. Yeah.
Was, they were on the same kind of thing as Conducting from the Grave. Number 17, Oceano. If you like filth and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of the band who started that real down-tempo mosh parts. A lot of people hate on that band. I have no clue why. The same vein, right? Number 18, Black Tongue. Members of Infant Annihilator.
Was that the UK band?
I think they're from UK.
Well, they did that one album that was a monster, and then they did the next one, and I went, yeah,
it's like that really filthy down to an 8-string deathcore stuff where it's just like apocalyptic mosh parts. where it's like 3 beats per minute mosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like that kind of shit, check out Black Tongue. We already talked about Iron Dissonance, and then number 20, Beneath the Massacre. You know,
Oh,
OG to me.
My God, live it is something. It is something to behold.
Yeah, the drumming is ridiculous.
Yes, why if you're listening, anyone in the sound of our voice, check out the Anthony Barone drum through of the newest album. He has a drum playthrough of one of the songs, and it's like he's gravity blasting with both hands. It's insane.
Yeah, he like switches. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Dude. Like you have to be super talented for that. And to end this real quick, let's talk about this Big Six thing real quick. So to me, it's kind of funny to do that, and I see why they're doing it. But like at the same time, the genre's huge, so why not do it? Why not capitalize?
Yeah, it's kind of gimmicky, but at the same time, to your point, the iron is hot. It can do nothing but elevate bands like Lorna Shore's at the top of the pile. It can do nothing but elevate the bands that are with them, right? Left to Suffer, Infinite Annihilator, everybody knows, so it'll just help them get bigger. Everybody knows Fit for an Autopsy. This may give Spite some listens from others that may not be into the arguably lighter side of deathcore. But yeah, I think it's a good time for that type of experiment, that type of project.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what they're going to do. Didn't they do like a Christmas thing or something?
Yeah, Lorna Shore did the big Christmas thing. Yeah,
which is cool. So, all right, I mean, we're going to do these genre breakdowns probably. We'll probably get in metalcore and hardcore and all that shit. I think it's fun, and I think it's people get to listen to it. The death metal one we did, we had a lot of great comments where people were like, "Yo, I haven't heard of these bands. Like, thank you." So.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, and like we talked about, we're going to do new metal, but we're also going to go in different directions because you can't just listen to only one genre.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? It's hopefully, people listening to this will go, wow, dude, like this actually does remind me of like a new metal song or,
There are definitely hints. Yes.
Somebody asked that we do a new metalcore breakdown, so we're going to do that. That will be our next one.
New metalcore.
Bands like Graphic Nature, shit like that.
Okay.
We're gonna do that next.
We can do that. We can definitely do that.
Everybody listening, we're gonna do that, and we have a lot of cool shit coming up. So
yeah, we have some fun stuff coming up for you this year. We actually we were workshopping some ideas, and we've got some fun topics. We got some fun topics coming up, and some good deep dives of stuff you wouldn't necessarily expect. So if you like what you heard, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at newbreed_podcast, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com for all of your correspondence needs. Find us on r/newmetal, bouncing around, posting and talking shit there. So until next time, we want to say peace.
Later.